A blonde was speeding when a local police officer pulled her over and walked up to the car. The officer also happened to be a blonde, and she asked for the blonde's driver's license. The driver searched frantically in her purse for a while and finally said to the blonde policewoman,
"What does a driver's license look like?"
Irritated, the blonde cop said,
"You dummy! It's got your picture on it!"
The blonde driver frantically searched her purse again and found a small, rectangular mirror down at the bottom. She held it up to her face and said,
"Aha! This must be my driver's license,"
and handed it to the blonde policewoman. The blonde cop looked in the mirror, handed it back to the driver, and said,
"You're free to go. And, if I had known you were a police officer too, we could have avoided all of this."
Kevin had just gotten a new car and was out for a drive, when he accidentally cut off a truck driver. The truck driver motioned for Kevin to pull over. When Kevin did, the driver got out of his truck and pulled a piece of chalk from his pocket. He drew a circle on the side of the road and gruffly commanded Kevin,
"Stand in that circle and don't move."
He then went to Kevin's car and cut up its leather seats. When he turned around, Kevin had a slight grin on his face, so the driver said,
"Oh, you think that's funny? Watch this."
He gets a bat out of his truck and breaks every window in Kevin's car. When he turns and looks at Kevin, he has a smile on his face. The driver is getting really mad. He gets his knife back out and slices all its tires. Now Kevin is laughing. The truck driver is really starting to lose it. He goes back to his truck and gets a can of petrol, pours it on Kevin's car, and sets it on fire. He turns around and Kevin is laughing so hard he is about to fall down.
"What's so funny?"
The truck driver asked. Kevin replied,
"Every time you weren't looking, I stepped outside the circle."
A blonde tried to sell her old car. She was having a lot of problems selling it because the car had 250,000 miles. One day she told her problem to a friend she worked with. The friend told her,
"There is a way to make the car easier to sell, but it's not legal,"
replied the blonde.
"That doesn't matter,"
"Okay,"
said the friend.
"Here's the address of a friend of mine. He owns a car repair shop. Tell him I sent you and he will turn the counter in your car back to 50,000 miles. Then it shouldn't be a problem selling your car."
The following weekend, the blonde made the trip to the mechanic. About 1 month after that, the friend asked the blonde,
"Did you sell your car?"
"No.
replied the blonde.
Why should I? It only has 50,000 miles on it."
A sports car is driving in Amish Country. He skids on the road and crashes into a ditch. He gets out unharmed and looks at his car in dismay. A few minutes later, an Amish man comes riding by in a horse and buggy. The Amish man stops and asks, "Would you like some help English?" The man quickly says he would, and just as quickly the Amish man dismounts and ties his horse to the car. "All right, Nellie, pull." The horse remains motionless. "Now you Chester, pull." The horse again does nothing. "Come Blackie, pull." Finally, the horse takes some steps and effortlessly pulls the car out of the ditch and back onto the road. "Whoa, Blackie, that's good," the Amish man calls and the horse stops. The motorist shakes the Amish man's hand and says, "I really appreciate the help, but why did you call that horse by 3 different names?" "Oh," the Amish man says, "that horse is blind. He's easily strong enough to do it, you see, but if he thought he was doing it alone he wouldn't even try." A penguin is driving to the mall when all of a sudden his engine starts running really rough, and smoke is coming from under the hood. Luckily, there's an auto repair shop right next to the mall, so he pulls in there. The mechanic says,
"He'll be glad to take a look, but he won't be able to get to it for a couple of hours."
The penguin says,
"Fine."
Walks across the street to the mall. He kills time walking around the mall, does some window shopping, buys an ice cream cone, etc. Finally, the 2 hours are up and he goes back to the mechanic. The penguin says,
"Have you had time to look at my engine?"
the mechanic says.
Yeah, it looks like you blew a seal.
The penguin says.
No, that's just ice cream.
A mom visits her son for dinner who lives with a girl as a roommate. During his meal, his mother couldn't help but notice how pretty his roommate was. She had long been suspicious of a relationship between the two, and this had only made her more curious. Over the course of the evening, while watching the two interact, she started to wonder if there's more between him and his roommate. Reading his mom's thoughts, his son volunteered.
I know what you must be thinking, but I assure you, we are just roommates.
About a week later, his roommate came to him saying,
Ever since your mother came to dinner, I've been unable to find the silver plate. You don't suppose your mother took it, do you?
He said.
Well, I doubt it, but I'll email her just to be sure.
He sat down and wrote,
Dear Mom, after your visit, the silver plate has been missing. I'm not saying that you did take the silver plate from my house, and I'm not saying that you don't take it, but the fact remains that it has been missing ever since you were here for dinner. Love, your son.
Several days later, he received an email from his mother which read,
Dear son, I'm not saying that you do sleep with your roommate, and I'm not saying that you don't sleep with her, but the fact remains that if she was sleeping in her own bed, she would have found the silver plate by now, under her pillow. Love, Mom.
At school, the children were given the topic, There is only one mom, for their homework. On the second day at school, Daisy reads her homework.
My mom is good, she takes care of us, and looks after us. There is only one such mother.
Frank reads the homework.
No mom is as good as mine. She works everything for us, and she is also very beautiful and kind.
It's Johnny's turn to read his homework.
When I came home yesterday, the apartment door was open. My little brother was in the cradle and he was crying. Mom was in bed with the neighbor. When she saw me, she asked me to bring her 2 beers from the fridge. I went to the fridge and saw that there was only 1 beer. I shouted to her, "There is only one, Mom." Mom, what is a girlfriend?
When you grow up, you will know.
Can I have one?
Yes, when you grow up and be a good boy, you'll have a girlfriend.
What if I become a bad boy?
You'll have many.